I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can look at me. You know, we're about just over halfway through our book of new class rules. Really exciting. You know, we're still at the beginning of the month, but we're rolling through this book. So I just want to do a quick review of what we've learned so far. So the title of our book is New Class Rules by Maggie Gardner. And remember, so long ago we talked about our table of contents. Our table of contents is the page in the beginning of our book that lists all of our chapters and the page numbers. So today we are reading chapter 4. So you can see we're almost halfway down the page. Today's chapter is called Problems in the Classroom. So we're about halfway through our book. It's really exciting. So let's just do a quick review. Chapter 1 was called What's That Rule? And if we remember, this was the chapter about, you know, the students walked into the classroom, starting a new school year. And then they walked in and they were on their phones and talking so loud. They were not ready to learn. And then Mr. Landry said, I see a problem here. We cannot learn when we are talking loudly and we are on our cell phones. So he noticed a problem. And this is when we started introducing what a rule is. So you can see Mr. Landry says, a rule is a statement that says what is or is not allowed. I'm going to say it again. A rule is a statement that says what is or is not allowed. Another important fact that we learned in chapter 1 was that a rule in a country or city is called a law. So those two words, law and rule, are very similar, but we just learned that a law is specifically for a rule in a country or city, something that the government makes. And that was about it for chapter 1. Those were the main points. Then we got into chapter 2. Does anyone remember chapter 2? It's called Making New Laws. This is a very important chapter. One of the biggest things we learned in this chapter was how laws were made. So Mr. Landry's in the classroom. They were trying to, they're getting ready to start making their own rules and laws in class. They talk a little bit, just an important fact, that our first leaders of our country wrote the laws in the U.S. Constitution. That was one of our Kahoot questions that week. And then this is just a good page to reread about how laws are made. First, leaders look for problems. A problem is something that is hard to understand and deal with. Then leaders work together in groups to think of ways to solve the problem. Next, leaders choose the best way to solve the problem. And finally, new laws are made. That's a really simple way to explain how laws are made. So there's a problem. They work together to find a solution, and then they choose the best way to solve the problem. That is how rules or laws are made. There's one other important word in chapter 2 that we learned, and that is compromise. Let me zoom in closer so you can see. A compromise is when people agree on a decision. So sometimes we don't all agree automatically. I want to play basketball, but my friend wants to play baseball. So what do? We compromise and we say, well, how about we play a few minutes of basketball and then we play a few minutes of baseball? Or we come up with another idea. Well, since we both want to do something different, maybe we can compromise. Let's play soccer. You never know. So that's what leaders do. They have to compromise sometimes to make the best law. And so last chapter to review is chapter 3, Rules and Laws Around Us. I thought this was a fun one because this is one we could really relate to. This is where Mr. Landry and his class were thinking of all the rules around us. One of the rules you guys liked was how we walk in the hallways to keep us safe. Because if we're running down the hallways, we're going to run into each other and get hurt. And we don't want that. Yep, I see Brent waving. We don't run in the hallways. We got to stay safe. They talked about basketball, how they play sports. They use the same rules to keep everything fair for everyone. If you remember, Carly went shopping, and we talked about the rule where you have to pay before you leave the store. If you have an item that you're buying, you have to pay for it. And that solves the problem of stores not getting money for the things they sell. They talked about game club and rules in games. And again, it stops people from fighting about who won the game. Rules help people get along and have a good time. One other important fact, there are many different laws and rules that we must follow. There are rules at home, school, and the community, and while playing games. And these rules help people get along, keep them safe, and make things fair. So that's really important. So the end of chapter 3, it says, next we're going to talk about problems in our class. We're going to work together in groups to find a rule that will help us solve the problem. So, you guessed it, chapter 4 is entitled Problems in the Classroom. So I'm going to take a second and let you guys look at this. Chapter 4, Problems in the Classroom. Look at the picture. What do you think it's going to be about? This is Mr. Landry. What do we think we're going to be talking about in chapter 4? Problems in the classroom. So moving right along, I'm going to share my screen and we are going to jump into that first question. I hope you guys were paying attention, because what is the title of our chapter? We just talked about it. I just let you look good at that title page. If you remember, you can put it in the chat box. What is the title of the chapter? Problems in the class. And what do we think this problem's going to be about? Or what do you think this chapter is going to be about? Excuse me. My guess is the students are going to identify problems in the classroom. I'm not sure what the problems are going to be. Maybe you can think about some problems that come up when you're in school that we have rules for. So with that, I'm going to jump right into this chapter because I'm ready to see what chapter 4 is all about. So chapter 4, Problems in the Classroom.
Now we are going to work in 2 groups, says Mr. Landry. Kabam and Carly will work together in a group. Amaya and William will form another group. Each group will do a project to help decide what rules they will have in their class. Before we start a project, we should have a goal. A goal is something we want to accomplish. The goal for your group project is to find a problem that may stop students from learning. Then you will come up with a rule that will help with that problem, explains Mr. Landry.
So this is an important word right here, a goal. A goal is something that we want to accomplish. Today, my goal is to get through all of these assignments and hopefully take something away and learn something. That's my goal for today.
Mr. Landry begins by giving them an example. One of the best parts of coming to school or meeting online is seeing your friends. It is fun to talk to them. It is great to have friends, and it is a nice thing to check on them. It is a problem when we talk to our friends during class.
So he said it. You know, we love to come to school and we love talking to our friends, but there's an appropriate time to do that. And it's a problem when we talk to our friends during class.
Why is it a problem if we talk to our friends during class or a meeting? Asks Mr. Landry. Amaya answers, if we are talking to our friends then we can't hear what the teacher is saying. Right, says Mr. Landry. Other students may also have a hard time hearing the teacher and learning if you are talking. This is a problem.
I love how this book is, really reminding us of today's time. They're talking about meeting our friends, not only in the classroom, but online. And look at what they're wearing. They're both wearing face masks because that's, a new rule that we have at school is we have to wear a face mask. I have mine right here. I don't want to have it on so I want you guys to hear me well, but I'm always wearing my face mask. I know you guys are too.
Now it is your turn to think of things that may keep us from learning, says Mr. Landry. The students think of other problems in the classroom. Carly pulls out her phone and texts a friend. Kavan starts to play a game on his phone. After a few minutes, they remember they are supposed to be working.
Those phones will get us off track for sure.
Finally, Carly and Kavan get to work. Carly says, I think cell phones or other electronics can be a problem. Kavan agrees, yes they can. When we are texting or playing a game then we cannot learn. I think we could use this problem for our project. William and I want to get a drink before starting their project. William stands up and walks to the drinking fountain. He trips over a backpack and falls down. Amaya runs over and helps him up. Are you okay? Amaya asks. Yes, says William. He gets a drink and goes back to his seat.
I see another problem here. Can't be tripping on a book bag.
William and Amaya look around the room and see lots of backpacks and jackets on the floor. I think the backpacks and jackets on the floor are a problem, says William. Amaya agrees. It is not safe for us to walk around the classroom with so many things on the floor. Each group tells Mr. Landry the problem they would like to solve. Mr. Landry likes the problems they found. Both of your problems focus on helping students learn, keeping people safe or making things fair. I think we can make good rules with these problems.
So there's two groups, and the one group came up with the problem of looking at their cell phone and texting during class. And the other group came up with the problem of laying things on the floor and in the way that people might trip on. And those are both things that would keep us from learning. And so that is the end of our chapter for today. So you guys should log off of here and you're going to break off and do your unique learning assignments for reading. And then we will see you back here at 10:20 for our reading math Zoom. I'm excited to see you all there.